Donald Trump knew that COVID was spread asymptomatically, but he deliberately failed to tell the American people until it was too late. Had Trump imposed social distancing measures 1 week earlier in March 2020, he would have saved an estimated 36,000 lives. A Centers for Disease Control and Prevention researcher told the New York Times, quote, "All of us knew tens of thousands were going to die, and we were helpless to stop it. It was really heartbreaking and difficult on a psychological level not to be able to do anything. I wish I had taken my cell phone and just live streamed myself yelling at the top of my lungs. More people would have been alive if I had done that." CDC scientists were desperate to tell the American people the truth so they could take precautions. But the New York Times reports, quote, "Government researchers were muzzled by the Trump administration. Trump's COVID policies were failing miserably. People were dropping dead like flies, and hospitals were beyond capacity. They were packed. And doctors were exhausted from too much work. To deflect from causing this nightmare, which was completely avoidable, Trump actively demonized the very researchers at the CDC working to stop the pandemic. To gain control of the failing narrative, Trump took several destructive actions that undermined America's response to COVID. For example, he told the CDC that all messaging from the agency would be routed through that great scientific mind of Vice President Mike Pence. The president then reprimanded a senior CDC official for warning the American people to prepare for a pandemic. Then Trump's political goons, according to the New York Times, suppressed, altered, meddled, and blocked at least 19 scientific reports. The administration sent CDC scientists to airports across the U.S. to screen passengers arriving from China for COVID. However, these doctors were ordered to not wear masks because that might lead to public panic. But acute fear would have been the proper reaction to a deadly pandemic spread asymptomatically and rapidly hitting our shores. One scientist told the New York Times, quote, "It was mind-boggling because first it defies common sense, and then the scientist pointed out that the Chinese air passengers were arriving in N95 masks, only to be evaluated by CDC officials who were maskless." In August 2020, Trump's Department of Health and Human Services apparatchik, Michael Caputo, publicly described CDC scientists as lazy and as traitors engaging in sedition. In response to Caputo's unwarranted attack, one scientist wrote, "It's like we're in hell or the Twilight Zone." Indeed they were. Welcome to the Trump administration. Donald Trump may be indicted on several legal fronts, but his handling of COVID may be his worst crime of all. How is it not criminal for the Trump administration to deliberately not inform the American people how to save their own lives? There is absolutely no scientific justification or rationale for concealing the truth and muzzling America's top scientists. Every single action the Trump administration took was about politics. To hell with the people who were going to die. The victims, particularly his gullible supporters in red states, didn't factor into Trump's calculus at all. In every single instance, whether dictated through incompetence or cruelty, Trump displayed a reckless and cavalier disregard for human life. Trump lied and Americans died. For this, he should be held fully accountable and suffer the consequences for his deadly actions.